Hello and welcome to the Watering Hole. Thanks for checking out this clip. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that'll make the baby Jesus cry, and I know how much you guys love making the baby Jesus cry. Okay, so before we get to the news, I will warn you, I have rejiggered some stuff a little bit, and your boobs might be in the chat again.
Oh God.
I'm not sure. You are partially in the chat. I'm not sure if your boobs will be there or not. So let's see.
I guess we'll find out.
I mean, if you made your avatar bigger. Anyway, I don't really want to talk so much about this story per se, because as far as I can tell, it's not even real. I mean, it's the fucking New York Post, so like whatever. There's like hundreds of people who identify as dogs gather in city center and call animal control or whatever. So this is New York Post being stupid. They posted this video of people dressed up. There's no one in particularly risque clothing. It's just like a bunch of people dressed up. Like they're dressed normally, but they have like the BDSM dog mask on. And so this whole article is written under the premise that these people are people who identify as dogs. They're not just people who like have a kink for dogs or people who like to dress up as dogs sometimes and decide to get together here. It's that these people identify as dogs. Like the thing that...
How much you want to bet it's just a munch?
Just a munch?
Munch is a BDSM meetup where people will talk about like different ways that you can do BDSM stuff safely, basically.
Okay, it might be. This is in Germany, so like Germany is a very sexually liberal culture, so it would not surprise me if that's what it was. Oh my god, I need to redo my my alerts. That is unreadable. Someone subscribed. Alex Markle. So yeah, there were about 1,000 people there. This was in Berlin, so like 1,000 people is a good size gathering, but like Berlin's a big city. But this just like, it's just a video of these people dressed up as dogs howling at each other for a bit, and there's no context with the video. As far as I can tell, New York Post is the first outlet to break the story coming from Berlin. Like the one news source that talked about the story that was actually based in Germany cited the New York Post as their source for it. So
when even the local news is just like, we have to outsource this one because we don't know.
I mean, this is a fairly new story. Like as I was as I was looking it up, I was using Ground News for this one to see like all the different sites that were covering it, and like as I was looking it up, more sites kept popping up as sites that had covered it. So it's a developing story, I guess. But you see, the thing is, what kind of made me laugh about that, like I'm just kind of tracking the news cycle. So New York Post broke the story. There's no interviews with any of the people, nothing about this particular group, no explanation as to how it was organized, no explanation as to what group might have organized it, nothing like that. Just, hey, here's a video of some people dressed as dogs howling at each other. Here's some comments from people on like Twitter or something that were making fun of them. And then here's like as far as I can tell, unrelated stuff about like that guy in Japan that spent $14,000 on a hyper-realistic dog suit. So like
neat.
So like
it's just like
there's one person that actually identifies as a dog, or not even that he identifies as a dog, but that he enjoys living in the dog suit. And they just try to project that onto this group. Now, what I found interesting about this is that New York Post was the first place to break this. The second place to report on it that I saw is not even a news outlet. It's a Twitter account called Policy Scoop. It's a new account that just joined in August. It's not, as far as I can tell, it's not affiliated with any organizations. They don't have a website. They like, if you Google them, a podcast that they are not comes up.
Okay.
Their page is just kind of filled with anti-LGBTQ news stuff. But they actually say like, oh, it was organized by a group called Canine Beings. I searched for Canine Beings. Nothing. Couldn't find a damn thing about it.
I wonder if Breitbart has anything on it that's more accurate. Probably not. It's Breitbart.
I was going to say, why would you like what went through your head that you decided to say the words, I wonder if Breitbart has more accurate reporting on this story?
Because Breitbart had a story on this as of 10 hours ago.
Yeah, no, that's but that's the thing.
Only reason why.
But that's the thing. So Policy Scoop were the second people to report on it. Um, but and yeah, I see people talking about the blue check, like paying for that blue check was a terrible idea for shitter. Yeah, I'm still of the mindset, like, I have an extension on Chrome that will just like hide all of the blue check tweets. So like when I go into the replies or something, the first like page and a half of replies are all hidden, and I have to scroll down to get to the real replies. But like my brain is still programmed that like, oh, it's got the check mark beside the name, so this is an official organization sort of thing.
Do you do the thing that I do where you click on it? You click on it and you look at the follower count to verify, and it's always like sub 1,000.
Yeah, I think these guys were like 700. So like it wasn't nothing for an account that's only been open for a month, but it's not a lot. But anyway, a lot of the news organizations that were reporting on this since this tweet went up also repeated the bit about it being organized by a group called Canine Beings, which a cursory Google search suggests does not exist. So this is how the right wing does news. Somebody just sees a video, they make some loose associations, someone else lies about it, and then the other places repeat the lie.
So that was the reason I wanted to look at the Breitbart version of the article. I skimmed through it real quick, and I noticed that every single point you mentioned, including the anecdotal points about like there was a Japanese person who spent this much money on a suit, every single one of those was repeated in the Breitbart article. It's like they literally just copy pasted and said like, hey, don't make it look like this is my homework.
Yeah, well, let's I got the Breitbart one up. That's even an identical headline. 1,000 people who identify as dogs gather in Germany call animal control. Hundreds of people who identify as dogs gather in city center call animal control.
So they've hyperbolized it.
Well,
or 1,000 versus
so the New York
hundreds.
Post says hundreds, but then the number they give is 1,000. So an estimated 1,000 people. So Breitbart just went with the estimated number. Viral video, commenters didn't mince words. Yeah, just people saying blah, 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 same thing. Oh, and then it's a New York Post video that they linked to.
Yep. It's just regurgitation.
This video comes as concerns continue to rise and as society accepts abnormal behaviors of mental illness as normal, whether that be males contending that they are actually females or individuals identifying as trans species. So here's the thing. There really is a community of people that will say that they identify as a different species and that is a valid thing. But if you ask them that, they will tell you that it's not even close to being LGBTQ. They just like people just hear the words identify as and lump them in with trans people.
Yep.
But that's not like, it's not the same thing, and they don't think it's the same thing, and they don't want to be they don't want to be associated as part of the same group unless they are actually LGBTQ as well. And LGBTQ people are like, no, that's not LGBTQ. So
Monorail in your chat was saying, what's the difference between identifying as a dog and a furry? Furries generally don't identify as their fursuit. It's a costume that they are just wearing.
It's cosplay.
I don't identify.
It's a specific type of cosplay.
Yeah, I don't identify as Sans the Skeleton when I put on my Sans mask for DragonCon.
Like the people that are part of the 501st Legion that dress up as Star Wars characters, they don't think that they are literally Star Wars characters. They don't identify as Star Wars characters. They just like dressing up as them because they think it's fun.
Yeah,
that's all it is. It's the same thing. Train Freak says right wingers are off the rails. Yeah.
I get it. Train Freak.
Adam Broughton says, Adam Broughton says, when it comes to hard right media, don't forget about the Toronto Sun or Rebel News. P.S. Did you hear about the 1 million person march? I did hear about the 1 million person march. That was one of the things that was all over, what was it? Policy Scoops page. So the 1 million person march was basically an anti-trans march that happened simultaneously in several cities in Canada. In some places, it did get to substantial size. In other places, they were massively outnumbered by pro-trans counter-protests. So,